The Utah Jazz second night of a homestand was more of the same. A dominating performance by the Jazz, blowing out the Toronto Raptors in equal balance across the board. We're talking about it next on POSTCAST. David Locke along with Ron Boone, thank you very much for joining us here on POSTCAST tonight. The Utah Jazz beat the Toronto Raptors 145-113. The opening game, 28-25 in the first quarter. Starters even. That's kind of been the book. Then the storyline from there has been that we have so much depth. We're so balanced. We just start to stretch it out on people when their benches aren't as good. Starters were dead even to start the game. Jazz got up by 3 at the end of 1. They got up by 17 at the half. They then stretched it all the way. They won the third quarter by another 3 points, go by 20, where the two teams combined for almost 80 points in the third quarter. And then Jazz scored the most points in regulation ever scored in this building at Delta Center with a 145-113 win over the Toronto Raptors. The Jazz win again. I've lost track of my streaks, but I think the one that jumps out to the most, there's two things that jump out to me the most tonight, Ron, that I'll start with about where this team is. We played December 21st in Detroit.
Yes.
We were underdogs. We were 10-18 on that night. And since then, we're 10-2. How did we go from 10-18 and underdogs in Detroit to 10-2?
That's that's such a great question until you start looking at the way they've been sharing the basketball. And I know you talk about this a lot about playing rogue basketball. Colin Sexton and probably Jordan Clarkson are the ones that will play more with the ball in their hands than anyone else on the team, but they've been productive. But otherwise, just being able to share the basketball, execution, spacing, everything that Will talks to us about, they seem to be getting better at.
The thing that was most interesting to me about tonight, and it was very funny, but at halftime, Scott Morrison had this incredible quote, which was that he had no idea how they were up 17 because they looked like a bunch of guys at a bar, drunk guys at a bar trying to figure out who was safe enough to drive each other home. I think that's what he said, which is just a great line. And then he went on to talk about all the things they're doing wrong. What I think is most interesting about that, Ron, is that the coaching staff is watching this team play tonight against Toronto, and they don't think they're playing very well.
That's all a part of coaching because you have a game plan. And sometimes you have to go away from your game plan in order to win or, whatever the case. But obviously, that's exactly what happened tonight, is that the Jazz didn't follow the game plan and other things were working, and they stayed with it. Now, coaches can get upset, all they want, but, you're leading at the half by, what was that?
17,
man, and you make that point at the half, but deep down inside, you're thinking, well, you really can't.
And then Toronto came out in the third quarter, had just a multitude of shots, and the Jazz answered every single one of them tonight. But I do think this match is, like I've talked about on Locked On Jazz, is the rule of 240. Like, we are just throwing out 240 minutes of players every night. And I don't want to go through their roster and say who's not a 240-minute player, but, like, on guys I'm looking at that I'm not entirely sure, I think they might have played 40 minutes of guys that aren't NBA rotation players tonight. So we're throwing out 240 minutes. They're throwing out 200. That's a big difference.
And the big difference is that's when you're throwing out those kind of minutes, is they're just not minutes that aren't something's getting done. I mean, they're being productive, with those kind of minutes. It's not like, you got a couple of guys that they're throwing out Grady Dick, who's in the ball game, 12 minutes and doesn't score.
And I honestly, I was just generous. I actually think they played like 60 minutes of non-NBA guys tonight.
Yeah, probably so.
And Philadelphia played a bunch of non-NBA guys, and Milwaukee played a bunch of they're not going to be, when I say non-NBA, guys are going to be 7, 8, 9-year rotation NBA players. Like, long time, everyone gets a shot for a little while, but guys are going to hold their spot as a rotation player. You know exactly what you're getting every single night. Generally, I don't count rookies at all. So for us, we would minus Keontae, but he's played fine. And as a bench role, his impact has been minimized. What he's doing is fine. But this is kind of, I think, what it is. And we saw it tonight. Like, how's it? And then the other thing is that what Will has done with this group is that each of these guys seems to be excelling in the role that they're given right now in a manner that makes it like they're just together and playing together.
And that's probably the best point that could be made, for that is they're excelling at exactly what you said, excelling in the role and the minutes that they're getting out there on the floor. I talk about productive minutes, and I think that's what we're seeing. The same thing you're saying, excelling with the minutes they're getting. But those productive minutes makes it easier for a coach to coach a basketball game. When they can throw guys out there and mix and match the lineups, and you don't lose a lot.
Two guys I thought were absolutely fabulous tonight. I don't know if they're going to be our stars. You didn't buy into my absolutely fabulous the other night, so who knows what you're going to do to me tonight? Look at you. You get on a little win streak, and you decide you – okay. I thought Ochai Agbaji's first to second quarter was the best basketball I've seen him play all year long.
And I agree. I totally agree with that. And, well, I'll do that when we get to our stars. But that has to be a confidence builder for him. Because he rebounded, got a couple of – did he run down a block shot there as well?
Yeah.
And then he was able to knock down a three. Did he get two? Yeah, he got two. He was 2 for 7 from the 3-point line. That's where he's been struggling. That corner three has been his bread and butter for the most part, but then all of a sudden he started to struggle from it, and he was able to knock down one tonight.
And then I thought Kelly Olynyk controlled the entire game for 8 to 10 minutes tonight in the middle of the floor, passing, driving, beating mismatches. It was really just terrific.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be one of my stars. And the reason for that is that there's times when guys can control a game and not score a lot of points. Rebounding, assists, and just keeping the group together and out there on the floor. And I mean, he, like I said earlier before the ball, he only averages 5 shots a ball game. But the impact he makes at the success of this team is unreal. We can criticize that slow motion move that he has that's off rhythm and all that, but he just flat out gets the job done. What a luxury to have a guy like that on the team.
There are some guys, there's I don't know if this is totally true, but I generally kind of believe this. 3-point shooting defensively is kind of luck. They're either hot or they're not. Guys are going to get threes. It's hard to take them away. You can deny the rim. As a defense, I really feel like the two things you can impact is you can deny the rim. You can decide you're not getting to the rim. In this day and age, when there's this many shooters, it's almost impossible to deny threes.
Yeah.
The second thing I've always thought a little bit is deep 2-point shooting defense. And what I mean by that is if a guy gets in the paint and he's trying to shoot, you're either bothering him or you're not. Like if they're just getting there freely, then you're not doing much defensively. The Raptors tonight at the rim were 8 of 15. They only got 15 shots at the rim all night long. That's in the 13th percentile of all amounts you get in a game. And they only made 8 of 15, which is the 12th percentile.
And at one time, 5 2-pointers of 23 attempts,
right.
Something
at
like that.
At halftime, they were 5 of 23. They had 5 twos and 8 threes. Yeah. In the short mid-range, they were 8 of 25 tonight. In the long mid-range, they were 2 of 7. So they finished 18 of 47 on twos tonight. I think 10 of 32 in mid-range and 8 of 15 through. That's the Jazz D'ing up. Like tonight, the Raptors finished with an offensive rating 111.9. It's at the bottom half of the league. They came in as the 4th best offense in the league over the last 6 games. The Jazz offensive rating tonight was a 141. The Raptors came in as one of the worst defensive teams in the league since the trade. So, I mean, that they stopped him on one end and got and took advantage of it. But defensively, this was a really, and even that, like I said to Scott Morrison, that's your best defensive half of the year, I believe statistically. He's like, yeah, I don't really think so. Well, that's one of the Jazz better defensive games of the year.
Well, my theory on this for years have been if you can hold a team to 42% 2-point range, you should win the basketball game, especially if they're below 25 assists or something like that. And we see that tonight. I mean, but the 3-point shooting is just, 17 for 34 there. That's pretty good.
Right.
That's well, and they don't win.
And I don't know, by the way, if you want to know why there's an offensive explosion in the league, because 2 teams tonight, they came in the league 23rd and 20. This is crazy. 2 teams that came in the league in 23rd and 22nd in 3-point shooting percentage. Okay. We're both in the bottom 10 of 3-point shooting combined tonight to shoot 38 of 77 from the from the 3-point line. If you want to know why there's an offensive explosion in the league, that's why when 2 of the worst 3-point shooting teams go 50% for a game, it's nuts. But that's how you have to defend. You have to defend in around the rim. And the fact that we're not getting blown by on every drive anymore like we were earlier this year, that Chris Dunn and Simone Fontecchio are playing defense with And John Collins has been much better defensively. And then Walker is just a force defensively.
Yeah, great point. And not a lot more you can say about that, but they just getting it done.
All right.
Well, we agree Kelly Olynyk smart.
Kelly Olynyk gets a start tonight.
Now, I was torn with Colin Sexton, who after the first quarter, the Jazz led 28-25. But Colin Sexton's second quarter
Was
pushed
monstrous.
the Jazz. It was monster, and it really got the John. But it was Markkanen's third quarter that extended it. But Colin Sexton, I think.
So, you know what I'm going to do?
No.
Lacey's a teacher.
She is,
She keeps track.
Elementary or secondary.
And
or
teachers claim they never have favorites. And they never have favorites.
Okay.
And they lie.
They lie?
Because they have favorites.
Right.
Every teacher has favorites, I promise. And I have a favorite.
Okay.
I have a few favorites on this team.
Okay.
But I have one person who's really a favorite.
Simone.
So Ochai Agbaji is getting my second star.
All right.
That is just a complete bias pick right there.
I mean, there's so many guys that you can give a star.
I'm going Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji.
That's a good one. I'll go with that.
Oh, look at Ron Boone followed my lead. Maybe
I'm not going to go rogue on
maybe
you.
we'll get along before this is over. Jazz are rolling. I just want to make everyone understand this. Tomorrow, the Utah Jazz, 10th in the Western Conference, play the 11th ranked in the Western Conference, Los Angeles Lakers. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Hey, and plus, kind of shut up those Laker fans that come and sit over in that section over there with those gold jerseys on.
You know what? I've never had a complaint about this. If you want to pay for your season, if you want to have some scummy little Laker fan with his 34 version, his 8 Kobe Bryant jerseys and his 6 Magic Johnson jerseys, pay for your Jazz season tickets for the other 41 nights.
Okay.
I don't have a problem.
You don't have a problem.
And the real reason I don't have a problem, because what's so great is to watch them walking out of here after a loss. So let's see if we can do that tomorrow. Jazz, Lakers, right? 7:30 start. 7:30 start. Have a great one. Talk to you later. This has been Locked On Postcast. We'll have a great one. We now send you the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 national stream. Have a great one.